this video we'll take a closer look at You Shook Me All Night Long, and we'll run through some of the small details that actually make it sound that much more special. Starting on the intro, the first part of the intro is played up here. So we can consider this an inverted G5. Then the rest of the melody is built around this chord. If you roll down your volume knob and maybe a little bit of your tone knob to, shave off a little bit of the top end of the sound, and also play a little more gently with your right hand. As opposed to it sounds different. There's some nuances to it. This is just a small detail, but it makes a whole lot of difference. And here's the first trick. For the longest time I played this D chord like this. But I always felt it was a little awkward to play this. Another thing is that it sounds a little stiff. This D note here. If you listen closely to the studio version, you'll notice that the D note rings throughout the whole lick. And I found this fascinating, and I thought, how does he play that? And I decided to look for any videos of any live videos of him playing this part in particular. And this is what I found out. He plays the F sharp note on the D string with his pinky finger, and this changes everything. We can actually keep the D note on top ringing, and it sounds that much nicer. Right? So, putting all this together, we get So let's take a look at Malcolm's part. For the intro, it's just basically switching around from G to D chords, but instead of just playing what Malcolm is doing is he's just playing the middle part of the chord, just the D, G, and B strings. So again, let's start with the volume rolled back, and and then you finish off with this sort of between the big strums. You also have the smaller strums on the D and maybe just the G string, so something like this, right? So I'm exaggerating it, but this is how it goes, sort of. So the key here is, again, to be gentle with your right hand, your strumming hand. So instead of just and that's not exactly what we want. Later, when I was editing this video, I noticed that I missed this little detail here. So we have this C note on the A string. that little magic between the two guitars that create this atmosphere, right? So I knew that I was playing this riff a little different from how Angus plays it, but I never thought that it would make that much difference. In my mind, AC/DC always plays the G chord, without the third. The major third is the B note. And then I listened more closely and I realized that the B note on the A string is very clearly being played in the studio version. So listen to this. This is where it struck me. I was playing it wrong the whole time, very wrong. From the C chord, he moves two fingers, this two to the lower strings, and Angus is not fretting any note on the B string. That's all. So it sounds to me like in the studio version he's just playing the lower strings. And then for the next part he plays it normally with the which is easier to transition from the G to the D with this fingering, and blocking the A string, obviously. So here they play the classic AC/DC G chord. So this is how Angus actually plays the riff. And if you want to play more like the live version where he's strumming more carelessly, he even adds the F sharp note very often. So if you listen to No Boo, the DVD or the VH1 performance, you'll hear that sometimes he plays the open B string. So you can hear this sort of this melody of on the VH1 he plays the open B only on the second G chord, so like this. So there's small differences you can add to the riff to make it sound a little different every time you play it. This is what Malcolm is playing. So the C is the normal C, and the G is that same, big G chord you learn when you start learning guitar, just without the high E string, and you're switching around your fingers. So this is the G chord Malcolm is playing here. So, but then on the next one, he plays that AC/DC G chord without the third, so that full power chord, and then the D chord up to the F sharp note. That full thing, it sounds bright, it sounds aggressive. And this is it. Do you hear how the riff changes midway through? It it sort of turns its head. It's that's. I think that's amazing, you know, there's so many little details hidden in that simple riff. For the chorus, the way they play this chord is with the D string open or muted, you know. Angus, for example, I think it sounds better if you mute the string, and it sounds something like this. I used to play it with this pull-off. But it's not there. I have no idea where I got this from. But, you know, you could add it, but it's not there. You can sometimes play the open A string if you want. But most of the time it's just strumming on the G chord, in my opinion. No. So meanwhile, Angus is playing the, you know, the arpeggio on the G and B strings, you know. Malcolm actually is playing something a little more MIDI, so the D string rings open. So here in the chorus, Malcolm is actually playing a C sus2, you might say, because you're not playing the major third at all with the E note. It's a suspended chord, actually. And it sounds something like this. So do you hear the difference between Angus and Malcolm? So Malcolm's chorus sound a lot more, you know, MIDI, you know, because we're playing this. You're playing more of the lower strings here, you know, the open D string. So, and on the second one you can play just the G string, but you can also play the B string for extra brightness. Or I think this is how he plays it. And yeah, it's, and again, when you put these two guitars together, you get magic. So thanks for watching and see you next time.